Welcome to Sit, Stay, Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. Well, we have some celebrations today. The first is author Scott Graham with his 10th book coming on the show to talk about Great Sand Dunes Massacre.
There we go.
There it is. There it is. Scott is an award-winning author, a good friend, and I thought the perfect person to also celebrate the 50th episode of Sit, Stay, Read. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you for making me number 50. I'm very happy to be the 50th guest on your show.
Well, I thought it would be great to celebrate 10 books, 50th episode, how much good friends. I mean, how much more can we ask for, right?
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely. Yep. It's just really a pleasure being here with you and talking about all the fun we have getting to do what we get to do.
We do. We have a lot of fun. And Great Sand Dunes Massacre, the 10th in the National Park Mystery Series. For those who don't know your series yet, give us a little background on, you have this wonderful family. I just love them.
Right.
Chuck,
Yep.
Janelle, Carmelita, and
Right.
Rosie. Tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. I think the difference about my series from a lot of murder mystery series that are out there is that I do have a family who travel from national park to national park. Essentially, they're following their dad, or their dad figure in the series, who is Chuck Bender. He's an archeologist, so he shows up at a park to do some archaeological work. The family is along, and then it turns into a classic amateur sleuth mystery where a body or bodies pile up. Officialdom isn't necessarily getting the job done, and it falls to Chuck and family to take care of business basically and solve the mystery. The series began, as you said, 10 books ago. And I've had the family growing roughly a year older with each book. And so, or time passing a year at a time. And so at the beginning of the series, Chuck is newly married to Janelle Ortega. And she's a single mom has been a single mom with two, at this point, kind of precocious adolescent daughters, Carmelita and Rosie. And so now through the series, we've gotten to spend 10 years of Rosie and Carmelita's lives as they've gone from adolescence into teenagerhood. And we've gotten to follow along with the family as they grow, as their dynamic kind of changes and matures over time. Chuck was a real dedicated bachelor to begin with when before he met Janelle. So he's had to figure out how to be a stepdad through the process of the stories in the book. And more, the family have played an active participation role in solving the mystery or solving the crime, which is, I think, made it real fun and real different from a lot of the other series that are out there.
I think so too. I mean, I feel like they're a real family out there. Although I admit, if I visited a national park and I saw this family, I'd be a little worried.
You'd run. Yeah,
I'd run.
exactly.
I'd be like, I'm out of here because I know what happens when this family's around, even though I love them to death. They're wonderful.
Yes. And it is true that the family does need to have kind of group amnesia each year, so that when Chuck says, "Hey, fam, we're going to go to the next park," they don't say, "Hey, we know what's been happening the last 10 years here. We are never going to another park with you again," because of course one or another of them is always going to be in some sort of trail, and it's going to be up to each of them to kind of get each other out of trouble. But yes, they happily forget what happened the year before, and they're all ready to go to the next park. Which also, it's worth noting, the result of that has enabled me to make each book a standalone book. So we get to meet the family anew and get a little quick refresher on who the family members are with each book. And that way, readers that may be interested in a specific park or a specific plot line that they've read about can just pick up that one book and enjoy it. People who want to give gifts for to great aunt Mildred or whoever is the wonderful mystery reader in the family, and they know that Mildred visited Yellowstone years ago and would like to read about Yellowstone or whatever park. They can pick and choose and not be worried about the fact that they're going to give someone a book that can't be read as a standalone. So that makes them worthwhile in that regard as well, for folks who want to read them just one at a time here and there.
Yeah, they're great that way. They're great as a series. And for your 10th book, I love the tagline. I had to write it down so I get it right. It says, sometimes grudges run so deep they can kill. I was like, ooh, that's a good one. So tell us
I,
about Great Sand Dunes Massacre. Give us a little
I
bit about
like
the
that
story.
tagline too, and I'll give a shout out to my publisher at my publishing house, which is Torrey House Press. And again, in the same way that my series is a bit different in terms of being a family-oriented series or featuring a family, the publisher who releases my books is a nonprofit environmental and social justice publishing house.
Okay.
Do wonderful, wonderful work out there, and I'm proud of the fact that my books sell very well for the size of publisher that I am with, and are very helpful in terms of helping to support the mission of this publishing house, which is public lands preservation. They've got grant driven sorts of opportunities where they give opportunities for young Native American authors to get published, to learn
Oh,
the writing and the authorial ropes.
nice.
So they're just a wonderful bunch of human beings that run this publishing house. And Will Neville Rabin has just been named full publisher of Torrey House Press. He's been co-publisher for a number of
Nice.
years with the founder of the publishing house, Kirsten Allen. And Kirsten is kind of slowing down a little bit now after 15 years of founding this organization with her husband, Mark. And now Will is stepping forward. Will is just a fountain of energy and also really smart. So to come back around, he's the guy who came up with that tagline. And I just think
Okay.
it's brilliant. I just
It
love
is.
that
I love
tagline.
it. I do
Yes,
too.
and it does it, and it takes you right into what's going on here, which is that we have got Chuck, and in this case, it's really Rosie throughout the majority of the book.
Yeah.
So younger sister, who are together at Great Sand Dunes National Park in southern Colorado, and Rosie is there for a film school program for a week, and Chuck is doing some archaeological work. But he's also there, kind of keeping an eye on her because, as we learn in the preface to the book, there's been some nefarious stuff that has happened 2 months prior when Chuck first began his work at the park,
Yeah.
and so there's been some question if Rosie should even show up for this film school, which she's dead set on attending, and so the family decides, okay, Rosie can go, but Chuck's going to be there, kind of, keeping a watchful eye. And of course, is going to happen in a situation like this. The bad things do begin to happen, and it does have to do with some grudges and some old stories coming to surface.
Yeah.
And specifically, literally going back more than 100 years, the title "Great Sand Dunes Massacre" refers to some of the massacres that occurred in
Mhm.
Colorado in some of the bad old days. And so I do give readers a chance to reflect on some of the, we think about the Old West and all the excitement of the Old West, but there were some difficult times too. And so I talk about the Sand Creek Massacre, and I share with readers the Ludlow Mine Massacre, and the Fremont expedition that people haven't really heard much about, that went very badly
Oh,
south in southern Colorado, stranded in a snowstorm. And so I tell some of those true stories, and then start talking about, okay, could some of this be playing forward 100 years later? And so that's kind of a big
yeah.
overview of how the story plays out. But I will say, for readers of my books, that may know how much fun, I guess you could say, I have finding new ways to kill people in my mysteries. I think I've got two of my better murders in this book. I try to
Yeah.
avoid, yeah, I try to avoid guns as much as I can, just because it's fun to try to not just always depend on guns to kill people, especially here in America, where we've kind of got enough problems with guns as it is. So national parks are really great places to find new and different ways to kill people that may not necessarily involve firearms. And I think I found two fairly clever ways of doing so this time around. So with that, I don't want to spoil it, but I think people will enjoy what's going on there.
I did. I was like, you always come up with great ways. I'm like, oh, I love this. Now we might spoil one because it's
Sure,
sit,
we could
stay,
do that. No, the
read.
first one, yeah, that'd be fine.
So can we spoil the first one? Because that
Let's do it.
was,
Yes.
and part of that, so we have some special four-legged characters. In fact, I don't think I've read any book where this animal plays this big of a role. So tell
Exactly.
us about Hercules and the
Yes.
first murder, because I was
So
thinking,
yes, so let's see. I'll tell what happens in the preface just so people can kind of play along and see if they can get a
okay,
sense of see if they
that
can
would be
decide.
fun.
And people who know the San Luis Valley and know where
Yes.
Great Sand Dunes National Park is located may get this a little quicker than others. And I'll give a little hint to say that water plays a real role in as we know increasingly in the Southwest
Yes.
and in the Rio Grande river drainage as well as the Colorado River drainage. In central southern Colorado, we're in the Rio Grande drainage, and water is desired. And so, part of what we're
Yes.
talking about in this story is the desire for water, underground aquifer type water. And San Luis Valley is
Yes.
known for having artisan wells or artesian wells, I guess, that bubble up. And despite the cold, you've got open, bubbling water year round, even in the heart of winter.
I didn't know
And
that.
so in this
Yeah.
case, Chuck is chasing after someone who's been spying on him while he's been doing his work. And this person has drawn a gun on him, so there is a gun involved. And then Chuck kind of chases after him, and suddenly gunfire erupts. And the person that has been spying on Chuck jumps over this fence and disappears as a splash of water into one of these pools. And Chuck runs to the fence and basically sees this person get taken. If you remember the old movie Jaws is kind of what I had
Yeah.
in my head.
That's what
And so
yeah.
the inciting incident is this person being taken underwater by, as you say, Hercules. And I'm playing on the fact that in southern Colorado and in the San Luis Valley, there is in fact an alligator farm
Okay.
that originally was a farm. I mean, they raised alligators and turned them into purses and boots and whatnot. And now it's just kind of a rescue, and it's a place
Okay.
where it's a tourist place where people come and visit and enjoy the alligators just for visitation purposes. So it's become the second most visited tourist site in the San Luis Valley after Great Sand Dunes National Park. And there was just no way that I couldn't kill I had to kill someone, with an
Yes.
alligator in the San Luis Valley. It just was, there was no question that needed to happen. And so I had a great time researching how exactly alligators go about killing their prey
Okay.
with the death roll. And Hercules, people can think about that name. It's a massive creature
Yeah.
who does a real job on this poor young man who ends up in in Hercules's grip. So that's yes, and that's what starts the whole story running. That incident has occurred 2 months prior, and it's that concern that has brought him forward. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I mean, because like I said, it's a different animal, it's a different way of killing someone, murdering someone. And
exactly,
and I kind of like, I mean, alligators are cool creatures. Not like I'm going to go hug one or something, but
right,
they are. And
right.
I had forgotten about that alligator farm in it's near Alamosa, right? Is that
It
right?
is, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And so the San Luis Valley, yeah, Alamosa is about equidistant from both the reptile farm north and then mostly east to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. I again, I'll fudge a little bit with geography to make things work in these books,
Okay.
and so I brought the reptile farm, the Colorado Gator World. I think I call it in the book Rocky Mountain Gator World because Colorado Gator World is the name of the actual
Okay.
place. And of course, with people dying there, I didn't want to use the real name. And I do have a little shout out to them at the end saying, hey, if people want to visit this place, it's not as dangerous as it turns out to be in my book. But I did move it over close to the national park so that everything can kind of play out close together. And so it
Okay.
is in the case of the book, it's right next to the park. But in reality, you're right there. It's closer to Alamosa.
Okay. Well, and this is an area of Colorado, even though I grew up here, I don't know it as well. And so you also talk about an area called the Flats. Now, is that fictional or is that real?
And again, the Flats is a fictional name, but it's
Okay.
based on a real part of the San Luis Valley where
Okay.
um, I don't know who did it way early on, but they basically bulldozed out 5 acre plots of land in this arid, flat San Luis
Okay.
Valley, and started selling them, for a few $1,000s, few $100s, few decades ago.
Wow.
And so it's an opportunity for people who are kind of wanting to kind of live sideways in America and just have their own plot of land for very little money to go out and live the life they want to live. And so you end up with a lot of real characters in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. Um, and so Ted Conover, people may know him as for some of his past really great nonfiction books, wrote most recently a book called Cheap Land, Colorado, came out a couple of
Okay.
years ago. Phenomenal book where he went and bought one of those plots of land in this neighborhood and then lived among those people for months at a time here and there over the course of some years, kind of through the COVID years when everyone was kind of really need to stay apart anyway.
Mhm.
And he wrote this book about those people that he'd gotten to know that live in this neighborhood. And it's just this wonderful book. You get a slice of Americana that, it's just, whoa, there are some really crazy folks out there. But there are also people who are really dedicated to their lives and living the life they want to live. And it's those people that I wanted to feature a little bit also because
Yeah.
they're such a unique part of the San Luis Valley. And they're so proud of the San Luis Valley. They love, the hard world that they live in. The San Luis Valley is not an easy place to live in,
No,
regardless. And if you're
no.
doing it without electricity and without well water, and on this rough, windswept few acres of land,
Mhm.
you've got some real tough as nails pieces to you. And so I wanted to kind of talk about those people as well. So again, I took that neighborhood, which is really down by the closer to
Okay.
the New Mexico border, south of
Okay.
Alamosa, and put it right next to the reptile, and the reptile farm and the northern end of the park. So I've kind of brought them all together so that I can again have all of this milieu be shared
Yeah.
with the reader.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the people from the flats. You had another uh quote. The character says something like they someone came in to save them. Again, I'm trying not to give away too much,
Sure. Yes.
but we didn't necessarily need to be saved.
We
Like that
didn't
was
need it.
kind of the we didn't
Right.
need it. And I thought that was
Yes.
kind of a cool, just I don't know, I just really thought that was an interesting take on it.
Well,
So,
and I'll do a shout out to another person too. When I always go to these parks and research right before I start writing, so that I've kind of got the sounds
yeah.
and the smells and the flavors of the park in my head when I start writing. And so I was visiting Great Sand Dunes. I'd visited it. It's near where I live in Durango, Colorado. And so I grew up hunting over in the valley with buddies of mine when I was a young man, hunting and fishing over in the valley from Durango.
Okay.
I've climbed in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, which are up
Okay.
above the national park. So I've known this area for a long time, and I've been to the park many times. But I wanted to go right before I started writing to get to know it, and I had the opportunity to visit with a gentleman by the name of Fred Bunch. He was a
Okay.
ranger in the park, chief of resource management for the Great Sand Dunes National Park. I sat down with
Okay.
him in his office, and I was expecting to talk to him about the park and getting a
Yeah.
sense of what would be fun ways to kill people in the national park, which is what I always talk to people about down there. These rangers, because the rangers have good ideas. So, oh, someone could die
They
this
do.
way. But Fred is a native of the San Luis Valley. And what
Okay.
we really ended up talking about was his pride of place in the valley. And
That's
and
cool.
and just how strongly he feels about the quality of the people who live in the San Luis Valley, and how they're there because they want to be there. Like I
Yeah.
said, you have to be tough if you want to live in the San Luis Valley. And so
Yeah.
they're there, and he has stuck around by choice. He could be bouncing around to park to park. I mean, he could be in the Everglades and living in on the beach in Florida or whatever, but he is he's there where he was raised, and he was so proud of it. And it completely helped me figure out this plot line that I wanted to explore, exactly what you're talking about, that you've got this Hollywood couple showing up to run this film school, and they're in
Yeah.
savior mode. Oh, these poor people who are
Yeah.
somewhat blue collar, who may not be as well educated as this couple feels like they are, in whatever sense you want to apply the word education. And so that was the play that I wanted to act out with my characters, was this pride of place that Fred shared with me when I visited with him in the park.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, and share a little more. I think when we say Alamosa is a hard place to live, describe what it's like for, because I think people think Colorado, they think like Aspen or Vail
Sure,
or the mountains or, Denver or something
precisely.
like that. So tell us about
Right.
Alamosa.
Yeah, and Alamos is just a wonderful place.
It's
My
beautiful.
mother actually got her master's degree in Alamosa at
Oh,
Adams
cool.
State, now university. Back then it was Adams State College. And so my family has been tied to Adams State and to Alamosa through her and I think my father actually, who was a professor at Fort Lewis College in Durango, taught some courses over in Alamosa. So we know the valley as
Yeah.
well as someone who doesn't live there can. It in many days of the year is the coldest place in the lower 48 states. So we always think about International Falls, Minnesota,
Mhm.
as the place that always has the coldest temps in the lower 48 in the wintertime. But in fact, Alamosa and the San Luis Valley, that cold air comes off the Sangre de Cristos on the one side, the San Juan Mountains on the other, settles in that valley, and it is just cold, 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 beautiful, beautiful cold. And then because this is a flat valley, the wind just picks up steam, and it is the wind that has created these highest sand dunes we have in North America, 700-foot tall, off the valley floor
Amazing.
sand dunes, because the wind pretty much never stops. The wind comes whipping across that valley, picks up these grains of sand, and blows them up against the side of the mountains. And so you've got bitter cold, you have got steady, steady, serious wind, kind of the sagebrush place that it's you can grow crops. Potatoes grow well there. Barley grows well there. But it's hard work to make things grow. The growing season is short, and so everything about it is just you've got to want to live there. And yet,
Yeah.
because of that, there aren't a lot of people there. Alamosa is the biggest community, but it's maybe 10, 15,000 people.
Okay.
And then everyone else is spread out on these large lots, and they're living their own lives the way they want to live them. And it's just a wonderful place as a result, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've been there a couple times or, near the sand dunes and then on our way to Durango. And it was always a town that intrigued me. So it was fun to read more about this area in your book. I felt like I was visiting
Good.
it again. So yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because, like I said, I wanted to share more than just the park this time, and what I knew of the valley and its people. And so I'm glad to hear
Mhm.
that from you.
Yeah. So you have 10 books, 10 different national parks. I'm curious, how do you choose which park you're going to do next?
So I'll start at the beginning and work forward. Basically, what
Okay.
we being Kirsten
You
Allen at
might
the
have.
time, the publisher who just stepped down from Torrey House Press, when they decided to take on the idea of this series with me, we decided the goal was to try to build an audience over time. They committed to several
Okay.
books, even though we
Nice.
knew it would be a slow build, small publisher. It's not the same as some of the big New York places like say you're with where you've got your one or two chances to make sure you can sell, and then if you're not doing it like you're doing it,
Yeah.
you're
It's-
you're kind of thrown out the window or whatever. In my case, they said, we really want to see if we can give this a go. We're nonprofit, so we don't have to worry. At this time, they were
Okay.
profit, but kind of working toward nonprofit status
Oh,
at the time.
interesting. Yeah.
And so we committed to this idea. All right. And so we did the four most visited national parks out in the West, thinking we're going to go for as big an audience as we can with
Mhm.
those four. So we did the Grand Canyon National
Okay, I
Park,
love some of
Rocky
them.
Mountain National Park. Yeah, have you got some of them sitting there?
I got,
Yellowstone. Yep. And then
yep,
these are
I
some of
got,
the others. There you go. Canyon Sacrifice was
yeah,
the very, very early one. That was the first one. Oh, look
the
at
first
you.
one.
That's great. Mountain
Yeah.
Rampage. There you go. Yeah. So Mountain Rampage is Rocky Mountain National Park, Yellowstone, and then Yosemite Fall. So we did those
Cool.
four parks. And then the series was doing well. I was able to begin to kind of choose parks more based on what I was interested in. So I did some of my more local parks that I'm really familiar
Very
with
cool.
and comfortable with. So I did Arches, which again is a very visited park outside of
Yeah.
Moab, Utah. But I also did Canyonlands, which is the one you just picked up
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
showed.
I have it.
Canyonlands Carnage, which is a
Yeah.
whitewater rafting mystery set in the heart
Yeah.
of Cataract Canyon, kind of an Agatha
Cool.
Christie closed room mystery with river rafters who are down in the canyon and they know bad things are happening and we're the only ones here together in this canyon, so it's one of us. So I played with that and with the whitewater rafting, which is something I do for fun, and was able to share, some of my experiences on the water with people. Then I did Mesa Verde. The book is Mesa Verde Victim, and that's kind of my hometown book. And not
Yeah.
unlike Great Sand Dunes, I set a good chunk of that story in Durango because I know Durango and I know people would like to learn about Durango as well as Mesa Verde National Park.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of they've been different ways of playing with. And then I did Saguaro Sanction.
Yes.
I've known Tucson for many years. Spent a lot of time in Tucson because my grandparents lived down there since 1963,
Okay.
and so I wanted to share the desert and Tucson and what I know of the saguaro and the dangers that are presented right now to Saguaro National Park with regard to
Yeah.
this ongoing southwestern drought. So those are kind of some of the ways I came up with the different ones. Great Sand Dunes again was another backyard park, not very visited, really the smallest of all these parks that in terms of visitation
Mhm.
that I just wanted to share with people because I think it's a gem and it's a beautiful place. The geography
Yeah.
or of it is fascinating to me that this creek comes behind and draws the sand out of the back of the sand dunes and brings it back around to the front so the wind can blow it up again. I just love bits and pieces of that are and the lightning. I play with the fact that lightning makes these fumaroles that you can play with
Yeah.
because lightning is a big part of the sand dunes because they're kind of out by themselves. So anyway, there were just these really neat facts that I wanted to share with people.
And you do. And you know what I love about your book, Scott, is your passion for the outdoors. Your love for these parks and public lands comes through. And you even started Authors for Public Lands. You were kind enough to invite me to be a contributor.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
it's been fantastic, but I just love your passion. Uh, do you want to talk a little bit about Authors for Public Lands and our
Oh,
goal with that?
let's do.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for people listening in, Kathleen and I are co-writers for a Substack, and all this new terminology that we learn as we go along. But
Yes.
it's a Substack for that is called Authors for Public Lands, and I and Nicole Mag, I think she pronounces it
I
Magi,
think so. Yeah.
I believe, and then Jeff Ayers. All of us write about the national parks. Jeff Ayers has a thriller series out within the national parks that are really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
very first book, the first thing that happens is the Statue of Liberty gets blown over by a big terrorist bombing. So, I mean, he's really out there with what he's doing in the parks. And Nicole has this wonderful a female ranger investigator who is investigating murders in the parks and moves from park to park. And so the three of us were together at a conference and we're talking about what more could we do to start, talking about this love of national parks and love
Yeah.
of public lands that we all shared. And we started talking to other authors like you. And now each of us, there's 10 of us now. So once a
Yeah.
week, we've got a new posting by one of us as a column on Substack, and if people just search Authors for Public Lands in the Substack, they'll find us, and I think they'll be amazed. I'm blown away
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
columns.
I am
The
too.
knowledge that each of us brings is really
Yeah.
fascinating to me. When you've got 10 different voices talking about the importance of public lands, I think it's been a wonderful thing, and the numbers of followers are increasing, and I think
Yeah.
just the 10 of us kind of talking to one another, I think is helping us shape our own fiction as we go forward. It's just been a great little opportunity.
It has. It has. I've learned something from everyone and it's been
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
And the passion for these public lands is it's great to see because there's nothing like them, if
No,
you've never visited one, it's amazing.
no, it's absolutely true. And in my case, I was raised by a family of outdoors parents and brothers and sisters, and we spent a lot of time in the backcountry of national parks when I was a kid. And then I raised my two sons with my wife doing a lot of
Yeah.
backcountry exploration in the national parks. And so that piece is specific also to what I bring to my series is every single
Yeah.
book takes an armchair reader into a backcountry portion of that particular national park. And
Yeah.
places that I've always, I've visited, I know intimately and want to share with people. And so you're right. So it has been really fun for me to share that love of the land and the landscape through my own backcountry exploration experiences, and then
Yeah.
share those real life experiences through my characters in the books.
Yeah, I love it. Well, there's gonna be a book 11, right?
Oh
Is
yeah,
there? Okay, so
And
can
it's
you
and you'll
share a
see
little
people
teaser
people
or?
people who read Great Sand Dunes Massacre, when they get to the back of it, the preface and chapter one of the next book are in there, and that is titled "Dying in Zion." And it'll
Nice.
be not good things happening to some folks who show up in Zion National Park. And it'll fall again to
Uh,
Chuck and family to take care of what's going on there. And I
yeah.
think it's really fun. I mean, I'll spoil it a little bit, but people could read it. But it's basically the conceit of this book is that if people know Zion Lodge, in the heart of Zion Canyon, the most beautiful lodge you're ever going to see, the architecture, this beautiful building, and the shuttle buses stop there, and everyone hangs out at the snack bar there in the restaurant, and people are
Yeah.
staying, have made reservations a year in advance to stay in the rooms. Well, in my case, the president of the United States, who remains unnamed, has gifted a 50-year lease of the lodge to the richest man on earth, who will also
Okay.
remain unnamed, um, fictionalized,
I
of
love
course,
it. I
for
love
him to
it.
turn this lovely little beautiful piece of American National Park, iconic landscape, into his own little personal fiefdom for his many wives that he is bringing in to set up his own little compound in the middle of Zion National Park. Of course, people don't like that too much, and so much so that there could be bad things happening to those who are kind of
Yes.
letting some of this happen. So that's kind of the fun kind of storyline that is dying in Zion is
I love
again
it.
not necessarily not ripped from today's headlines to an extent in terms of
Yeah.
how these public lands are being treated by some of the people who are on in charge politically right
Yeah.
now. And so so some of this privatization discussion that's been going on with public
Oh,
lands, I basically
yes.
just wanted to take that discussion and make it front center in this book. And so that's what
I
that's
love
what I'm
that.
doing. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait for that one to come out.
Good.
The joy of being a writer, like we get one done, we get one out, and then we're like, when's the next one?
Oh, yeah,
Can it be
exactly. I
tomorrow?
know. I know, I know,
So-
and I'm the same way. I was like, I really want to read this one, and it's like that means I got to write it. So that's what I'm working on.
I love it. Well, it's going to be fantastic. I know it will be. So, what is the,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun story.
oh, I think it definitely will be.
Yeah,
Definitely. What's the best way for readers to find out more about your books, keep in touch with you, keep up with the
I can give
releases?
readers two places to go. Um,
Okay.
for sure, go to scottfranklingraham.com. That is my website, and it's Scott Franklin Graham, GRAHAM.com. I've got a
Okay.
blog going there, so people can follow
Oh,
along with my
nice.
travels and with what's going on with my writing through the blog there. They can always, of course, catch up with me on Facebook and check in with me there. And then I'd really encourage people, because I'm so proud of my publishing house, to visit
Yeah.
toryhouse.org. The the breadth of books and writing that Torrey House is sharing with people is, I think, really, really, those who visit the site will find it fascinating and interesting. And that's also another
Nice.
place to learn about my books as well. There's great information on all of my books at
Yeah.
toryhouse.org as well. So those would be the two places that are really easy to find me and to learn about my books.
Fantastic. And I will put your website in the show notes. And then I
That would be
noticed on
great.
your website you have the Tory House link so people
Yep.
can easily find them. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. And they're, like I said, they're wonderful people working hard and worth finding. They're just, it's like, as you know, we're all out here doing this. None of us are
Yeah.
getting rich at this. We're doing it for the love of literature, for
Yes.
the love of public lands, for the love of, the national parks, whatever it is that we're, in your case, the whole canine world.
Yeah.
It's just something that we know we're able to share with people. And so it makes me happy to be able to send people to Tory House where they're just doing this for the love of it. They're working
Yeah.
hard and making opportunities for others out there who wouldn't have these opportunities to get their work published. Really, really a wonderful group of people.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that. Well,
Yeah.
Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so much
Oh,
fun.
so happy to be here, Kathleen. Yeah, just thank you very much for having me.
Oh, of course. And congrats again. The 10th book, everyone. Great Sand Dunes
There we go.
Massacre. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So celebrate a 10th book and a 50th episode by buying, just buy the whole series because it's
There you
fantastic.
go.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I know you said they can be read as a standalone, but let's just go for all of them because they're
That's
great.
right. And I will tell people they're available on audiobook. The narrator
Okay.
is wonderful. And so they're available that way. They're available on Kindle, as you're pointing to there. They're available in book form. You can buy them from bookshop.org, which is the indie
Perfect.
bookstore, online um, way to buy books, or, straight from your independent bookstore. So however you want to get them, they're out there.
That's fantastic. Well, they are great books, Scott, and I'm just so happy for you. I'm so happy for your success with them.
Thank you, Kathleen. And likewise back at you, the success you're having is wonderful. Wonderful for me as a friend of yours to see. Isn't this fun?
Thank you so much. And
Sure
everyone,
thing.
until next time, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.